Hey everybody, and welcome to the next chapter, selecting subsets of data from DataFrames with just the brackets. So we have a couple of objectives. We're going to know the three indexers, which are just these brackets. Loc and iloc are used to select subsets of data. The primary purpose of just the brackets is to select columns of a data frame. All right, so before we actually do any code, let's figure out what I mean by selecting subsets of data. So I'm going to be using this phrase, selecting subsets of data, over and over again for the rest of this playlist. So Pandas offers essentially three sort of separate ways, or there's just, you can sort of think of three separate ways to, of subset selection. So take a data frame here, say this whole data frame, and the highlighted portion is going to be what we want to select. So this example shows selection of just columns. So you can select just a subset of columns. So here we just select three columns, and the end result is this going to be this data frame down here with just those three columns and all of the rows. All right. The next way Pandas allows you to make selection is to select just the rows. So in this example here, again, we start out with the whole data frame, and so we select just the rows Aaron and Dean. The resulting data frame is just those two rows along with every single column. And then the last way Pandas allows us to make selections is to do simultaneous row and column selection. So here we have, we're selecting these two rows again, Aaron and Dean, along with color, age, and food. So just the intersection of those rows and columns will be selected in the final data frame, and this is what we get down here. All right, so the way Pandas allows you to do subset selection is with, you can either use a label or integer location. So every column and every row has a dual reference. Okay, so the labels are exactly what you see, like in the index or in the columns, and the integer location is, are always going to be the same. It's going to be the integers beginning at 0 all the way to n-1. So so you can use either label or integer location to select subsets of data in Pandas. So this actually causes quite a bit of confusion that you have this ability for dual reference, either label or integer location. So we're going to see this upcoming quite a lot in the next several videos. Okay, so moving on. So in the documentation and in Python terminology, you'll see this word indexing. So what is the difference between indexing and selecting subsets of data? Well, there's really no difference. That's just a word that the Pandas documentation uses quite a bit, and you'll also see it in the Python documentation when it refers to selecting subsets from a list. So that's called indexing. I prefer the term selecting subsets of data because it's much clearer and it's more verbose. It tells you exactly what's going on. So I'm going to be using this term, but if you see the word indexing, well, it's referring to selecting subsets of data. All right, so there are three primary indexers that Pandas offers, three ways to select subsets of data. So I'm calling these indexers. This is just the three sort of primary ways, yes, to select subsets of data. So we have these are just brackets appended directly to a data frame. So it's going to look like this. I call these just the brackets to differentiate it between the other two. Then we have the loc indexer, and then we have the iloc indexer. So we will cover loc and iloc in a different video. We're going to focus our attention on just the brackets. So these are brackets appended directly to your data frame object. All right, so we're going to, begin with just the brackets. So I'm going to read in this data frame, which we've already seen before. All right, so we've already established how to select a single column with just the brackets. So the way we do this is by appending these brackets to the data frame and then simply typing in the name of the column that we want. So it doesn't matter what we want to do here. Let's just say we want the age column, for instance. So we're going to just extract the age column as a series, and as you should always know, the index comes along with that. So the index is not sort of the index is part of the series. It is not it is not withheld. It comes with the selection. So the labels stay. So that's an important thing. So it's not it's not data. It's just a label, and it will be a part of the resulting series. So this is a series. It's just all those values in this age column. All right, so that is the most basic selection, is just selecting a single column in a data frame, and you use the brackets for that. Okay, the next thing we'd like to do is to select multiple columns, and we do this with a list. So if we wanted to select, say, age and some other column, say score, well then we can use a list inside of our data frame, or inside of the bracket. So this is a little bit tricky because there's an inner list in here within the brackets. So we have df and then brackets, and then we have a list of 2 strings followed by another bracket. And you can have as many strings as you want in here to select as many columns as you want. I'm just selecting 2 columns. So the immediate thing to notice is that we returned a data frame, not a series. We have 2 columns here, and the index is going to be the exact same. So this is how you select multiple columns. You use a list. Okay, so a very common error in the above is to forget about using an inner list. So you might think that you're able to select something like color and age, and this is extremely common to do, and you might think like this should work, but it actually does not. So you're going to get a key error, which just means it can't find the column name. So this is not a column, color, comma, age as a tuple, but so this is incorrect. So this is just a common error I wanted to show. You will get a key error. It's looking for this combination, and it just doesn't exist. So you have to use those inner brackets. You have to place that inner brackets, which creates a list inside there, and then you'll get it correctly. All right, so what I like to teach, and I think is a good way of sort of separating out the logic, is to make the list beforehand in another line of code. So say we want to do age and score, and say we want to do food as well. So I create a list here, so it's clear that yes, I am selecting these columns. It is a list, and then I pass that list into the brackets, and this way it makes it more difficult to make that error from above, because it forces you to create a list up here. It also shortens this line of code right here, so you don't have a whole bunch of going on in one line. So I find it a little bit tricky to see back-to-back brackets, and this sort of eliminates that as well. So consider using a list in a separate line of code to make the subset selection. All right, so the column order does not matter. So if I have my df up here, I don't have to select in the same order that the data came with. In fact, I actually didn't even do that here. I have age, score, and food, and this is going to be the order that the resulting data frame will be in. So I can go ahead and put state over there. Okay, so there we go. Age, score, food, state. So whatever order the list is in, that will be the resulting order of the data frame. So one sort of interesting or maybe even surprising result is that if you use a single item list, you will return a data frame of 1 column. So if you want to keep a data frame, but you want to select only 1 column, you'll need to use a list. Just have a 1 item list. So pandas will preserve that data frame. You will not have a series. So this is very similar to a series, but it is not a series. It is in fact a data frame. It is a 1 column data frame. Okay, so that wraps up this section on selecting subsets of data with just the brackets. Not a whole lot here. Simply use a single string to select one column and a list of strings to select multiple columns, and then also consider putting those list of strings as a separate variable in a separate line of code. All right, we're going to move on to more interesting selections in the very next video. Now, if you're interested in learning a lot more and getting the full text, then I would encourage you to go ahead and buy the book, Master Data Analysis with Python. It has 600 pages, 300 exercises, multiple projects, and very detailed solutions. So if you want to support the channel and support me, please consider purchasing the book. All right, we'll see you guys in the next section.